Good morning. It's Tuesday again, so that means it's time for another Groovy Tuesday. How are we all today? Have we got anybody there with me? Just having a little look to see if anybody's watching. How are you all doing? Oh, a bit warm today. I don't think I should have put this jumper on. I think I should have put a jumper, not a jumper, I should have put a t-shirt on, I think. Lovely, we've had the all clear from the lovely Jilly. Jilly said that the sound is all clear, so that's great. So hopefully we can see some comments from somebody. How are we doing? Yes, I think we're all good to go. Can't see any comments today, but I'm guessing people are there in the room. I can see we've got 58 people watching so far. So, yeah. Picot cutting round 2. Oh dear. Well, it's a bit strange not seeing anybody sort of chatting. I wonder where that's disappeared to. Oh, technology. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I've got stars. Weird. Oh well, I'll have to rely on the lovely Jilly. If you've got any questions, she can text them through to me. Oh, it really is getting already. I'm really having second thoughts about this jumper now. I could be a puddle on the floor by the time we finish the end of this session. I know. Have a hot cup of coffee. That'll really cool me down. Psychological, I think it is. Right, let's move that little mouse out of the way. So, right, okay, what time are we? Oh, just approaching 10 o'clock. There we go. So, let's have a look. What's Jilly telling me? Super duper, thank you, Jilly. It's weird, yeah, it's really strange not being able to see any comments down the side. And I don't want to fiddle with anything, because I don't want to break anything. So, oh, I wonder whether let me try, I'm going to say that now, It's telling me there's 43 comments, but I can't see any. Oh well, it is what it is, as Barb would say. So we'll just go with the flow. And psychologically, you're asking loads of questions, and there'll be loads of people in the room if you're stuck or you're unsure. If you're looking for anything, Jilly will point you in the right direction on our lovely website. And yeah, wow, Tuesday again, episode 12. I can't believe we're in week 12 already. I remember having a conversation with Barb when the idea was coming together, and it was a Monday morning, and she said, what about doing a Groovy Tuesday? I thought, that sounds a good idea. So she went, okay then, over to you. But no, see, sometimes that's how things evolve here at Clarity. You can have a conversation, and next thing you know, we're getting it in place, and we're reacting, and we're coming up with great ideas. And it's all about sort of just trying to keep everything fresh and easy. And for me, that's what I love about the Groovy system. And it's to be able to achieve something so quickly and so easily, and to be able to repeat it as well. So like when we're staging, I know when we do the TV shows, I have the lovely Linda Williams helping me out. I have Lynn Jackson, Josie Davidson, the design team, Jane Telfer. They all sort of pile in and sort of help out, because it can take time to create a beautiful piece of artwork. It can take time. But if you're doing it live on TV, you've got to have all those stages. Whereas on the Shack, on a Groovy Tuesday, then we do it in real time so that everyone at home can sort of join in and really sort of get to enjoy it. So last week we had a look at some little patterns, didn't we? So I just read a message saying restart. I'm not going to restart. I'm going to ignore that message. The little gremlins are out today, I'm sure. So we had a look at the beautiful butterfly, didn't we? So let me just bring in this plate. So we've also worked out, thank you to Mr. Dave, I can now reach my overhead camera, so it means I can zoom in and zoom out a lot more easily. I haven't got to climb on the table. So when we have a look at this beautiful plate that we've been working with over the past weeks, we can see, you know what we've done over the past 12 weeks, where we've taken the reef, we've taken the butterfly, we've coloured it in, we've done some white work, and we'll have a look at white work in a little bit more detail over the coming weeks as well. But I know a lot of people were really interested in the Picot cutting. So last week what we did, we used the fantastic basic grids. And we've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and we used the straight. This was a technique that the lovely Glynis did over on the Clarity Matters blog a couple of weeks back. And it was great, because when you look at a plate that's got hundreds of holes in it, you think, oh, where do I start? There's no way I want to sort of do all the counting. So let me zoom in now that I can easily reach this. So there we go, really coming close now. Look at that, you'll see all my little imperfections. So just by using, where's the straight one gone? I've got the diagonal one here. Straight one is hiding, there it is, it's over here. So what we did, we took the outline of the butterfly and, try not to put your head in the way, and we created this pattern, and it was exactly what lovely Glynis did over on the blog. And do you remember I showed you this piece of artwork from the lovely Linda Page? Okay, I'm really going to get my stretching exercises in today. There we go. So we've got this beautiful piece of artwork that Linda Page created. It just shows the different things that you can do with a simple outline of a butterfly. So that was one thing to sort of just recap on. And then, do you remember last week? Last week, did you tune into the Pergamano show to see those fantastic embossed pattern samplers from Josie? Let's just have a look at those in a little bit more detail. Because if you purchase those, see, we've got the two, they're based on the straight and the diagonal grid. So this one here is a straight, and it says straight at the bottom. And you've got these 9 little samplers. But what you can do with them, you can extend them, you can take bits and pieces of them. So that was the straight one. And then we've got the diagonal one. And yeah, you can create this using a basic grid, but you've got to do all the counting and all the measuring. So it was great to be able to showcase these last week on the Pergamano show. But these would be great for infilling the butterflies as well, because you've got those patterns already in place. So if you missed those, we've got those on the website, and they're still on special offer as well. So I just want to, let's have a look at a couple of the samples that Josie created. So this one here, when we look, we've used it as an infill. So these are great for backgrounds, for infilling areas, adding details on the back. I mean, look at that beautiful parchment poppet. Isn't she beautiful? And Josie's just infilled the background with that pattern. And again, there's nothing, it's not wrong, it's just perfect. Absolutely gorgeous. So we looked at that one on the Pergamano show, and this one, I love this. This was using the nested octagon, and I just thought this was so different. Because normally when we're creating cards, we go square or we go circle, rectangle. But to have this really, I mean, the plate's been around for a long time. But when somebody else picks it up and you look at it and you think, wow, that gives a completely new style in a way, I suppose. But it's great because, again, you can go with the same pattern in all of those areas, or you can do what Josie's done and alternate them. So you can see here we've got this pattern here and here, and then Josie's done the same at the top and the bottom. But again, just to infill that frame direct onto the parchment poppet, I thought it was brilliant. And then we've got a couple more samples. So this one here, I love this one. This one's from Carol, lovely Carol. And again, using that detail in the background to create, it's sort of like snow, really, isn't it? And this one, this is gorgeous. So this is, once you've mastered your Picot cutting, this is something to head towards. And this one is from the lovely Frances. Let me bring this in so you can really appreciate. Now, don't get scared. if you're just starting out on the Picot, really don't get scared about that, because if you break it down into the various different pieces, you could achieve that. I mean, it's very delicate, isn't it? But you could definitely aspire to be able to create something as beautiful and elegant as that. And to me, this would be in a picture frame rather than on a card. But I just love that effect. So what Frances has done, she's actually Picot cut the top layer and then embossed in the background. So clever. So clever. So I just wanted to showcase some of those. If you did miss the show and you think, well, what did I miss out on? I just thought just to have a little recap and show you those, because for me, these are great. They're sort of like another step. If you're not into your colouring in and you just want to add some depth to your piece of artwork, whether it be a butterfly, a frame, Josie has done all the work for you. One of the other products we launched last week on the Pergamano show was the super foam. So we've now got black and white 12 by 12 super foam. And you think, why do I need 12 by 12? Well, if you're working on a larger area, I'm going to zoom out now so you can see. So let me just zoom in that way. There we go. So this is the 12 by 12. So if you're working with the larger plates and you've got the 12 by 12 plate mate, not the A4 square plate mate for your larger plates, it gives you that perfect area to work on. So if you're perforating without a light panel, then the black one's great. If you're perforating with the light panel, then the white one, because the light will come through, just like the normal super foam. But it's also great for doing the Picot cutting on as well. If you're working on a larger piece, then, for example, for me, it's all about resting my hand. So if I've got that larger, I'm not sort of hanging off the side where I'm Picot cutting, if I'm Picot cutting flat. So it's all about sort of getting comfortable and bringing the tools. And again, this was an idea that Josie had and spoke to Barbara about. And as usual, we listen to the experts. And if we can do it, then we do it. So I know this was popular as well. It was such a great show last week. Okie dokie. So where are we going today? So as the title suggests, we're going freestyling with our Picot cutting. Last week, let me bring in these lovely little pieces. I'm going to be up and down on this chair now like a yo-yo. Let me just go to that camera. And now, there we go, going to stand up again. And you'll start to feel a bit seasick with all the ins and the outs, but hopefully if I keep it on this position now, I shouldn't have to move it again until later. Okay, so when we have a look at these, let's have a look at this one here. So this one here is where we've done the Picot cutting on the inside, and we've also perforated and Picot cut around the outside. So this is where the freestyling comes in. Now, what I love about this beautiful design is that if you want to do that, you can. However, if you're just happy to do your little crosses, then look, I slipped when I was cutting out. Just a normal pair of scissors and you can cut out the shape. Because the butterfly is quite easy, there's no in and out bits and fiddly bits, you still get a lovely result. Now, if you don't want to do any Picot cutting at all, then again, you can just perforate and then just cut out with a pair of scissors as well. So it's all about having that flexibility and depending on where you want to go on that bus journey. So what are we going to need for the next stage? Okay, so let's get our bits and pieces together. So I'm going to bring in my super foam. Now I'm going to go with the 12 by 12 because I've got this, oh, hand looks really big. 12 by 12, and we've got the white and the black as well. But I'm going to go with the black because it's nice and easy. Then what we're going to need is our butterfly that we did last week. Okay, so I finished mine off. I went in and did my little bit of Picot cutting. Then we're going to need our 2-needle bold tool, and you'll see on the end you've got those little symbols, the 2 little nodules to indicate it's a 2-needle, and it's a 2-needle bold. Let me see if I can find my 2-needle fine, if I've got it to hand. I bet I haven't. Always the way. No, it's not easily in reach. So the 2-needle bold, and if you're starting out, then to have the bold needle, 1, it works perfectly with the grids, but 2, it gives you a larger hole in which to work. So we're going to need that, and then we're going to need our weapons of choice. So we have the exclusive. Let's pop that to one side. So we've got our exclusive, we've got our perga cutters, and then we have our ring locks. Okay, and if I hold these to the side, you'll see all of these have a curve to them. Okay, now we call this the, if you hold it in that sort of position where the curve is going upwards, it's a spoon, but if you hold it with the curve going down, it's the fork position. So it's quite easy. I mean, if you imagine you was having your dinner, you'd have your fork going down, and if you was going to pick up your soup, you'd have the curve going up. So it's all about getting comfortable with what you want to use. Now, when we first started, it was the exclusive scissors that we started off with, and these are Barb's favourites. They're the cheapest option available, and they're good if you wanna get into the Picot cutting and give it a go. And what you'll notice on all of these scissors is that they have a really fine point to them, and the cutting point really on these scissors is just the tips. Okay, they are like normal scissors, they will cut all the way through, but the only area we're really interested in the sharpness is just that tip of the point up there, because that's the part that's doing all the work. And it's the same for all 3 of them. Now the squizzer ones, or the perga cutters, a lot of people prefer to use these if they struggle with dexterity problems. I jump between the perga cutters and the ring lock because they've got larger apertures for my fingers, so they're more comfortable for me. So that's what we're going to go with during this morning's session. So I'm going to pop those to one side. So just to recap, we need our lovely butterfly, we need a 2-needle bold, and then weapon of our choice. So whatever scissors you want to go with. Okay. So I'm pretty, it's definitely getting warmer in here. I might have to put the fan on underneath the desk. Okay. So with the freestyling Picot, when we was doing the pattern on the inside, I'm going to bring you in on the overhead so it's easier for me to talk about. When we was using the pattern within the butterfly, our safety net was the grid. Okay, and because it's doing the work for us in relation to, it's making sure that the tool is held upright, and it's going to give us our perfect pitch between each of the holes. And what I was using the 1-needle bold, because for me, even though we've created this pattern in a sequence of 4s, I just find it's easier for me. We've got the 2-needle and the 4-needle, but for me, when you're learning, it's easier to go with just a 1-needle because you're just lining up one hole every single time. So again, it's all about sort of what you find comfortable. I mean, if you look at Josie, who's sort of queen of perforating, really, I mean, she's like a sewing machine when she's going, it's constant, and she doesn't seem to have any speed. It's sort of like one speed, which is super speed. But again, that's the confidence thing, isn't it? So what we're going to do, we're going to perforate around the outside of our butterfly, and then we're going to do some Picot cutting. Okay, now for me, remember I said to you, never going cold with your Picot coat. Just from experience, I find it's easier if I did a little bit of Picot cutting first as a warm-up. My hand gets into the flow and I get used to the way in which I need to hold the scissors. Because if you haven't done it for a while, or it's the first time of doing it, you need to make sure that your hand is, you don't want to cramp up your hand, because then it becomes uncomfortable and you think, oh, it's a chore, and you really don't want to do it. So what I thought we'd do to start with, remember we had our little practice piece from the other week. So what I wanted to do was just to have a little warm-up exercise. Okay, remember how we was doing, and I showed you on this one here, by pushing the scissors in too far, the difference you get. Okay, so when we come to do our perforating freestyle, because there's no safety net, this is where the 2-needle bold comes in, because it has that perfect pitch between each of the perforations. And in order to get a really nice Picot cut, you need to have the right spacing. It doesn't matter how good you are, to have a 1 needle and try and guess the pitch in between. I mean, I suppose it is doable if you've got the patience and the inclination, but why would you when you've got the 2-needle tool that's doing all that work for you? Okay, so let's just have a little warm up first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my Groovi guard into play, because again, it focuses the area in which I'm working. Now, a good tip, I'm sure it was Linda or Tina that gave me this. If I take my tumble dry sheet and pop that underneath, I mean, it's not so important if you're using a 1 or a 2 needle, but if you're using a multi-needle, for example, the semicircle, where you've got loads of different needles on there to create the pattern, then the tumble dry sheet really makes a difference when you perforate, because what it does, it lubricates those needles every single time. And we used this in the Pergamano show last week. Maybe we'll have a little play with that later. Oops, he says leaning. So what we're going to do, we're going to perforate on the outside of our design. So I'm going to hold my tool upright, and I'm just coming away. I don't want to go right on the line. I want to come away from the line. And then what I'm going to do is perforate. And I'm going to go for the full depth of the needle. Okay. Then I'd remove the needle, and then I'm going to go back in to the last hole, and then perforate again. Okay, and what you'll find is you'll get in to a rhythm of doing that. And I'm trying to keep the same spacing away from that white line, because if you go in too close, then what it's going to do excuse me, it'll get rid of that white line, and we want to keep that white line. So I'm just going to put my goggles on. That's better. See, and then we're just going to slowly perforate along that edge. Okay, and your hand is mine's feeling comfortable because I'm resting on the Picot foam, and 2, I'm getting used to how far away I need to move the tool each time. Okay, so I've done that little line there, so let me just bring that up so you can sort of see that. So there we go, we've got our line of perforations. I got a little bit too close towards the white line towards the end. But if I take my single needle tool, I've got to try and judge, see, I've gone too close, that spacing in between. And it's not consistent. So therefore that will have an effect on my Picot cutting. Okay, so I've done a little row there. So I'm going to move my Groovi guard, and we've got our piece of work here. So I'm going to come in on this one so we can see that. Maybe I'll come in a little bit closer. So let me see, I need to come in. There we go. This will be really scary now. These holes will look gigantic. Maybe I'll... bald head getting in the way there. So I'm going to use the ring lock. And for me, I prefer holding them in the spoon position. Okay. And so that what I'm doing, and I'm coming in, so if I come in, I'll see from there. Let me do it on maybe this camera. So I'm coming in from underneath the scissors. And what I find is that my hand is comfortable because those two fingers there are doing the work and these two are creating the balance. Okay. So if we come back in on this one here, and I'm going to turn the work so that it's comfortable to me. And I'm going to pop the tips of the scissors in, and it really is just that tip. And I'm just going to squeeze. See how that point's appearing? Hopefully you can see that. And then you squeeze. Now some people will tilt towards them. Some people will tilt away from them. But what I want to do, I wonder if I'm going to see if I can come in really close on this. And I'm going to do it really slowly. So let's have a look. If I come in, I don't want, no, it's going to go out of focus, I think. That's probably the closest I'm going to be able to bring it in for you to see. Now, depending on what gadget you're watching it on, you may have to put your nose to the screen, but it's as close as I can get it for you. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is just squeeze. See how that point's appearing? And then snip. And I'm going to go back in. It's just like where we're doing the perforating, and we go back into the last hole and then snip. Okay, I'm just going to keep the scissors straight. Okay, and if you go in too far, what starts to happen, see, I know I've gone into, if you're sort of, they won't snip so well. So it's literally just a case of getting the angle right and just going along. See, and then you get into a rhythm and you start, and it's about putting equal pressure on both sides. That was a bit pants. And then going along. So now if I take a normal pair of scissors, he says, there they are, they're just over there. I just grab those so I don't really want to use my parchment scissors to cut away the parchment. I'm going to take that away there. So now we can see how our Picot, I knew where I'd gone wrong on that one because I went in too far on the scissors. But if I come in over here, then hopefully you can see how we're starting to create that Picot edge. Okay, and it really is practice. Now, don't forget I've gone in cold on this, okay, because it was that warm-up exercise. So that's why it's always a good idea to do that little warm-up. Even if you just do a tiny little row like that, or just do some little crosses and practice, it's just getting the hand. For me, it works. So now when I go in and do my actual butterfly, then it's all about, I've done that warm-up, my hands got used to the rhythm, it's got used to holding the scissors, and it's all about sort of just the snipping then. And then it's really weird, it's sort of, you get this, that little snipping sound, you get that sense of achievement. And some people will get it instantly straight away, and some people won't. It's just one of life's things. It's like anything. Some people pass their driving test first time, some people don't. And there isn't, I can just guide you and show you what I've been shown by the experts and just interpret that for you as well. So it's all about giving it a go, practice on a piece of scrap parchment first. Don't go straight in if you think, oh, I've ruined it now. You haven't. Keep it And then, as I say, always make some notes on if something goes wrong. Now let me just show you one other thing before we get into the actual butterfly itself. What I wanted to do, let me just do another row of perforations across this side. Okay, so we're just going to go along. I won't do as many, I don't think. Okay, because what you need to remember is you're cutting over the waist. So remember, when I was doing this bit here, my scissors, whoops, come into shot, my scissors were here. I'll get it right in a minute. The scissors were here because this is where the waist was going to fall away. Now if I hold it over my work, okay, and let me do it this way. I'm just going to tilt, see, I'm getting into it now. And you do this, what's going to happen if I cut this piece away, the Picot cutting is on the bit that I'm going to throw away, and this looks as if I've just chewed it, or the mouse has got it, or there's no real definition to it at all. So again, that can be another reason if you think when you're doing it and you think, oh, it's not working, have a look at the bit that you've taken off and see whether that's got the Picot edge. But isn't it amazing how where there's no solid white line, how different it looks. See that white line, maybe I need to zoom out a little bit. There we go. That white line can really make a difference to the edge. And that's why all of the artwork I've seen, apart from sort of like the freestyling of the sort of some of the grids, Josie's duet grids, is that you don't necessarily have to have a solid line, but it really does make a difference. Okay. Whew. Okay. So do you reckon we're good to go now? I reckon so. I hope that sort of made sense, and it's not. It's weird because it's all about practice. It really is. And when you look at, sometimes they get that beautiful art, like that beautiful piece from Francis, and I look at that and I think, no, I can't do that. But you know what? I can if I chose to, but I don't have to if I don't want to. And that's, for me, that's what the Groovi system sort of installs in me. So just thinking, I mean, I remember when Barb started the Shack back in the early days, over a year ago now, and it was all about the doodling, and everyone saying, oh, I can't draw. And a couple of months in, it was amazing to see what everyone had done. And it was just with that guidance and the company and not having any pressure to be able to perform, so to speak. And people then grow and you get that confidence, and that's what the Groovi system and the Shack, really all about staying home and crafting with Barb in the Shack really does, I think, enable people to bloom and blossom and grow and get confident. And we're always our own worst critic, so just look at it and think, oh, never be scared to put something on Facebook in Groovi or Clarity Worldwide, because if you're not sure, people are there to help and ask. So yeah, give it a go. Okie dokie. Right, waffled enough now. So it's really strange not seeing any comments on the side, but I'm sure Julia will tell me to shut up if I'm talking a load of garbage. Okay, so let's bring our butterfly into play. And I'm going to zoom out just one more time, just a little bit further out so we can get the whole of the butterfly. There we go. Okay. Ooh. Need to oil the wheels on this chair, I think. So I'm going to put my tumble dry sheet underneath. I'm going to bring in my Groovi guard. Now for me personally, what I find is best is to start, oh, one needle tool is no good. I need my 2 needle tool. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off in the area where it's sort of really closed in. Maybe I'll come in over on this. I wonder whether I can adjust that one too. Right, keep that there for a moment. And I've got to just walk around the other side of the camera because I haven't got that long arms to do the side camera. Let me see if I can, oh, I'm getting all really, I'm going to go really technical now. I'm going to bring it in without it going out of focus. I reckon that's about it there. Okay. Technology is great when it works. Just need to get the oils on these wheels. Okay, so I'm going to hold the tool upright and I'm going to perforate. Okay, now I'm going to turn the tool so I can go back into the hole that I've just come out of. Okay, what I might do is I might try it this way so that normally it's really weird, I go clockwise normally, but maybe if I go this way you might be able to see it a little better. So we're going to perforate and we're just going to move along. Okay, and every time we perforate we're going back into the last hole we've just come out of, and the tumble dryer sheet underneath is helping to lubricate those needles. Now what you may find is that you want to go with a smaller aperture, a smaller area. And then what you'll find, you'll get into a rhythm, and you have got to hold the tool upright, because if you hold it even at a slight angle, it can make the hole bigger than what it needs to be, or it can go into the next hole. Even though the needles are doing all that work for you, you can still make the hole bigger than it should be, or put 2 holes together. Okay, so I'm just gonna, you'll notice also I'm holding the tool, so let me just bring that in a little bit now. Okay, and it looks really wonky on that line, but it doesn't matter because we're going to cut all that away anyway. And then what I'm going to do, because my hand is comfortable, okay, I'm going to turn my work. Rather than turn my hand is comfortable in this position, so I'm going to turn my work to go around that curve. So for me, having this larger Picot foam, the super 12 by 12, my arm isn't hanging off the side. Who would have thought a bigger bit of foam would make such a difference? It's crazy, isn't it? See? And then we're just going to go around and we're going to just, it takes time. We can do this in real time, because if you're joining in along at home or you're watching this on YouTube later, then you want to, I mean, I could go faster, but there's no point, because what that will do is, if you're trying to do it at the same time, I know, see, I can't do 2 things at once. I can't look at the screen and perforate at the same time, and I'm sure you at home are in the same position, but hopefully this will give you a little bit of an insight into doing the perforating. Because as I said before, just doing perforate, I don't even have to cut this out if I don't want to. Just having the perforated holes can give it a different look. Okay, we're going to go around. So again, keep moving your work. That's the key to it, really, just to get that nice continuation. And then we're going to go round. So we've nearly done the first wing. How are we doing for time? 22. Oh, that's not bad. That's good. That's worked well. But again, it's not a race. You go. See, my voice is slowing down now. Okay. So we're coming into the base of the butterfly now. So again, I'm turning my work. And see what sometimes I'll do is I'll put that needle in that hole that I've just come out of and then just slightly turn the tool just to go around a tighter area. I think I'm going to have to switch this fan on in a minute because I can't take my jumper off. Now I'm not going to go in too far here because if I go in there's not really going to be anything for me to sort of cut away. So this is where I've got to be careful. See, now look, I've gone too close there, so I've created one hole out of two. But you know what? It's all about, we can adjust that when we do our picot cutting. So if you're going into a really tight area like we did just there, again, this is good practice to see where we've gone wrong. Okay, and I'm going to keep turning, but look how far we've come already. And we've done the big bit first, so we've only got the little bit left to do. But again, it's just that perforating, and it really is just to keep the tool held upright, because we're doing this without a safety net. As I said, the grids were our safety net when we come to do the perforations on the inside. So now we're getting used to working with the two needle bolt. And when you get a little bit more confident, if you want a finer picot, then you can use the two needle fine. As long as your eyes can see the hole where the scissors have got to go, then, but you will get a different look as well. You'll get a finer picot. It's crazy to think just by having a smaller hole, the difference it can make to the edge. See, I've gone too close there. So I'm going to adjust it, go out a little bit. Yeah, the size of the hole, it's amazing. It can make a difference to the size of the picot. But for starting out, you know, why make it difficult for yourself? Why go with a small hole when a larger hole is an option? See? And we're just coming around now to the tip of the butterfly wing. I love this. I really never thought that I would enjoy picot cutting when we first started, because I love the effect of it, but it just seemed such a chore. I suppose the reason it was such a chore was because I wasn't happy with what I was doing. But now that I am happy and I know where I go wrong and what I need to correct, I really enjoy it. And I think that's it. I've come a bit too far away from that edge there, but you know what? It doesn't matter. We can just slowly go back in. What you can't do is you can't go back in and re-perforate that, because all it will do is it will just tear the parchment. Okay, we're just going to move along. We're really going wide on this one. Let's slow it down and just twist it in. There we go. Back on track now. See, it's the angle in which I'm holding the tool, because I haven't turned my work because I was going away from myself. I was going with the flow. I got carried away. Whereas if I do it this way. Right, now, here's a good tip. The gap between these two holes here is too wide, really, to get a proper picot. And if I was to go in and put my second hole in there, it's going to knock into that hole. Let's see if I can hold that up so you can see how there's a bigger gap. So then this is where the one needle bolt comes in, that I can now go into the middle of that space and create that final perforation. Okay, so we now have this. Just careful as you remove the thing, because what happens as you perforate through, there we go. So now we have a lovely perforated butterfly. See? Easy peasy. Oh, it's flying away in the wrong direction. So it is about just doing it. And again, if you don't want to do it, I'm going to put the lid on this, so I'm going to do something silly with it. If you think, right, you spent the time doing that bit in the middle and you're really happy with it, but you just don't feel confident going around the outside, trace the butterfly out, just the outline, how we did at the beginning, and practice on that. Get comfortable on where you need to position the 2 needle bolt, and how, whether you're going too close to the edge, too far away from the edge, whether you haven't got the right angle, some holes are bigger than others. Practice on that first, and then once you're happy with your perforation, again, then go on to your nice piece. Because I know what it's like. It's you do something and you think, right, I'm just going to do it because of the speed in which I need to get something completed. But then the time you take to do that little bit of prep or that little bit of practice can make a difference. Oh, drop of coffee. So we'll just give everyone a chance to catch up. And then, so hopefully that sort of made some sense to you, and the camera wasn't too in your face or everything else. But I'm trying to get as close as possible so that you can watch it on whatever device you're watching it on. I know some people stream their devices to their TV, so that could be like, whoa, super holes. But to me, just to have something like that, if you don't want to do anything else to it, you don't have to. Keep that as your practice piece. But look, let me show you this here. See where I went too close on those 2 holes there? But that's not a problem, because it will disappear when we come to do our Picot cutting. Now, one other thing I wanted to share with you this week was, on a Monday, we've just started to launch an offer of the week. Okay, it'll run from Monday to Monday. Bob blogged about it last night, and we thought we'd start it off with some love. So for those of you that are regular members of the Shack with Bob, remember you doodled a beautiful heart with all those Zentangle patterns in there. Absolutely gorgeous. So we thought we'd kick off the offer of the week with that design, and as usual, we've got it in stamp and we've got it in Groovi. So for the whole week, it is going to be available at half price. So let me just take it out of the bag so we can really, I'll do it here. Let's take it out of the bag, because this is fantastic. Okay. Again, I'm going to zoom, let me zoom out a little bit now. Whee, more stretching exercises. So I'm going to zoom out by going that way. There we go. So we've got this lovely A5 square plate, and as you know now, working with the Groovi system, you can just do the shape of the heart, you can infill the various elements of it, you can have it so you put something else. You've got the love, you've got the lovely little hearts. There's so much use to this, especially what we've been doing over these past weeks with infilling our designs. So you could take that beautiful butterfly shape. Where's that one I had? Let me see. Which box have I got it in? Let me have a look. So it shows that it's not planned. Okay, here's just a butterfly. Let me turn it over this way. So we're working on the back. See, so I could take that butterfly and I could infill it with some of these gorgeous sort of tangled designs, and have a really sort of arty butterfly, and it will look completely different. So this is half price. It's $3.99 plus if you're a club member, then you get your discounts as well. But I thought this was a great one to kickstart the sort of the latest event of offers of the week. And when you look at what you doodled with Barb in the shack, and then for the girls in the office to turn it into a Groovi plate, is just magic. I mean, I can't doodle or draw or anything. So to have designs like this, I mean, look at that pattern there. That would look gorgeous in there. Seeing you just move it along to infill. Or if you're going for, look, one of these, the nested frames where you've got the squares, that you could just infill it with beautiful, beautiful doodled designs as well. And it will look so arty. So Gilly will give you the link for that if you're interested on that. So that's on special offer until Monday of next week, and we'll launch another offer of the week. So how are you all getting on? Have we done all our perforating? Have you decided, no, it's not for me? Yeah, I want to give it a go. You know what, even if you just try it once, what's the harm? It's half an hour, 15 minutes of just making holes in a bit of parchment. That's all it is, really. So what we can do now, if everyone's ready and we've all caught up, we'll go in and we'll do the Picot cutting. And again, we'll come in close on the camera so we can really sort of see the detail. So I reckon camera 3 is going to be the best one for this again. So remember, when we hold our scissors, we're going to be holding it over the waist. Okay. Oh, coffee, coffee, coffee. Let me come on this camera here. So I'm working on the 12 by 12 because it's a larger area. So my hand, I'm going to zoom out a bit more on this one. So you're going to be sick and tired of me. You're going to be asking Dave to stop me zooming going forward. It's like a yo-yo, in and out, make up your mind, Paul. But what I wanted to show you was that I've got this larger area which I'm working on. Now, if I was Picot cutting at home, I'd be working on the white mat with the light underneath, the light panel, because it would illuminate it. But because we're working here in the studio and not everybody has a light panel, we're using the black super foam. You can buy them separately, but the saving is both of them together. But what I find is that my arm is resting completely flat here, so that when I'm holding my scissors, my hand is comfortable. Now I'm just going to move this over so that we can come more central to the screen. And again, it's all about being comfortable, because as I said before, if your hand isn't comfortable and it starts to ache and you think, oh, it becomes a chore. It really does. So we're going to come in on this camera here. So let's readjust. Okay. And then we're going to pop the tips of the scissors in. Now, when I was learning originally with the exclusive scissors, it was all about holding the scissors through the top with the curve going down. And what you had to do was you had to find the holes. And the idea was to bring the scissors as flat as possible. And then you would snip and then twist. Okay. Now I did it because they were the only scissors I knew were available at the time, until we bought Pergamano and then found that we had these other lovely scissors. And then you watch Linda and Tina and Josie and Jane and all the other fantastic design team members. Glynis, I mean, Glynis is queen of snip. She's done some fantastic blog tutorials over on the Clarity Matters blog. And it's all about just getting comfortable. So for me, what works for me, once I put my glasses back on, that is just feeling comfortable. And sometimes I'll put my little finger, put a finger onto there just to rest. See, and then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to snip, towards me. Some people snip towards them and come towards them. Some people snip away and come towards them. Some people, yeah, they just go in different directions. So if I show this again, we're just going to pop the tips of those scissors. Let me get this more central. No, that way, and stop. There we go. And then it's a case of just going in. So look, let me just show you this. So that I didn't have to move the camera, my hand went from there to there, and it's uncomfortable. And I knew as soon as I did that, my hand was uncomfortable. So I need to move my work and keep my hand in the right position. Okay, and then we're just going to go in, squeeze. See, some people don't even tilt when they do it. So I'm going to turn. I suppose you need like one of those little, what are they called? Those things. It's like two circles together that rotates. What are they called? Oh, a lazy Susan. You could put that underneath, so that it'd have to be a big lazy Susan for the 12 by 12, otherwise you'd be falling off the edge of that. But it's easier for me just to turn my work. See? And it's just that slight little twist. And again, as I start to go around the corner, it's all about just getting into that flow. How are we doing for time? I reckon we'll get half a butterfly wing done, I reckon. Don't want to rush. Alright, so we're going to go into this dodgy area where I made 2 holes into one. So I'm still going to perforate, and then I'll turn it round. And again, so don't forget, my scissors are over the area which is going to fall away. It's over the waist. So that's why it's another good reason to actually turn your work, so that you don't think, oh, where do my scissors need to be? And as I said, if you've gone for the scissors, Pokemon, you get that fantastic cutting guide from Linda Williams. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start this side now, so we can just do half a wing, just so you can see. See, because again, you don't have to cut the butterfly out completely. I can leave the body, a bit too late now, I can leave the body in place and just have the wings standing up. See? So it's just about gently squeezing and bringing it to that point. And it probably looks a little bit strange on this angle of the camera, but I just think it's the best way just to sort of show you. And you can see you get into a rhythm, and it's that little snip, and they're not all going to be 100% perfect. Never, ever, ever. There's always going to be a dodgy one here and there, but in the whole scheme of things, it's the overall effect that you're looking for. Now, if this was a straight line, see, that's where I went wrong at the beginning, I think. I was Picot cutting, excuse me. When I was first learning, I was Picot cutting along a straight line, and all the imperfections stood out like a sore thumb. It was so obvious where some of the Picots weren't as pointy, some of them were a little bit dodge. And I suppose in a way it sort of helped, but it also was a hindrance as well, because a straight line is always going to be less forgiving than going round a curve like this. Okay, so now when I lift that up, we can see there's a few dodgy little teeth there, maybe at the ends, but the overall effect I mean, like, this is super zoomed in. I don't know. It's all about, see, what I was talking about, if you did half of it, you could do that, and then, let me come in on this one. You could do it so that the body stays attached, and then this would stand out, sort of dimensional from your piece. Wow, I can't believe that hour has just flown by. It's crazy. But you know what? They say time flies when you're having fun. And I'm certainly having fun showcasing what we're doing here on the Groovi Tuesday. So hopefully you have as well. So I think what we can do during the course of the week, I'll finish off my butterfly. We'll Picot cut him out completely. And then next week, what we'll do is we'll try and combine a couple of different things. So we'll take our beautiful little butterflies and we'll do an outer area that we can pop him onto. And so we can go back and do a little bit of white work or maybe some colouring. So it's all about taking that finish. I mean, look, you could pop it in one of our frames as well. You can have them going all around the outside of the frame. If you really, especially if you've got the colour, the designer parchment. Wow, yes, I forgot to mention that. Designer parchment is on special offer at the moment. Barb's doing a moment of clarity at 3 o'clock on Friday, Facebook Live, with those beautiful butterflies, stamps from Cherry Green. Butterflies and moths, absolutely gorgeous. And part of one of the demonstration, Barb showed it about stamping onto parchment. So it's just not, so all of the designer parchment has got £10 off of them. So instead of them being £24.98, they're only £14.98. And then if you're a club member, you then get your 10 or 15% off on that as well. So if you're loving the butterflies and you don't want to do any colouring, then treat yourself to one of those, because you'll get so many butterflies out of one sheet. Where's my phone? Let me have a look at my, look. Let's have a look. I'm going to squidge my little butterfly now. See if I can come in. So I've got Northern Lights. We've got the folders on the website as well. But if you're going to go, I mean, look, I love that one. Indian Summer is one of my favourites. Where's the Indian Summer? No, this is just all Northern Lights, I think. No, hang on. No, Indian Summer, 2-in-1 folder. So you've got some real nice sort of vibrant colours. This is my favourite one, that one. Barb's favourite one. So you've got, I mean, look at that, those pinks. So maybe take advantage if you was looking to treat yourself, because, I don't know, because it's Tuesday, you want to treat yourself? Yeah, so we've got £10 off on the parchment, and that would be for a limited time as well. But then tune in on Friday at 3 o'clock to see how Barb stamps with the parchment. Absolutely magical. So for next week, I think what we'll do is, if you can cut out your butterfly, maybe do 1 or 2. I've got 4 on the go now. Just see what you feel comfortable with. If you're not into the Picot cutting freestyle, then just use a normal pair of scissors, because we can still use it. We just need a little flutterby, little fluttery butterfly. Easy for me to say, not. And then we'll use that on a card. We'll do a little sort of like notelet card. We'll keep it small, but it will just be that little finishing trick to it as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget, Barb's back in the shack tomorrow. You're on the bus. You're going through the Kent countryside. I have to be careful how I said that. The Kent countryside. And on the bus, on yesterday, you was doing those beautiful hills and the fields and the apple trees. So I'll be in the room with you tomorrow as well. Otherwise, I will see you next Tuesday for another Groovi Tuesday. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Stay home, stay happy, and craft. See you again soon. Bye-bye.